Bravemaker Show is hosted by Tony Gaffestone and Christina Jackson. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Oh my gosh, we're here. We did it. You just never know things that are happening behind the scenes, like minutes up until we go live. My name is Tony Gaffestone, and I am a writer, director, actor. I'm located in Redwood City, California, the Bay Area, San Francisco. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a Caucasian man with glasses and a black trucker hat on today. And I encourage you to follow me and find and connect on all the socials at Tony Gaffestone or my website, tonygap.com. I love doing this work with Bravemaker, love telling stories, love hearing what people are doing in the creative field all around the world. And I always get to do it with my friend, my co-collaborator, and the producer of our next film, Christina Ray Jackson.
What's going on, Tony? It's so awesome to be here. I'm Christina Ray Jackson, and I'm an actor and a comic book writer and a filmmaker. And I'm coming to you from Sacramento, usually in my Dublin, California studio, but I relocated for today. And I'm an African-American woman with some wild curly red hair, and I'm rocking the Captain Marvel shirt today. And this is awesome, Tony.
Captain Marvel in the house, looking good.
Yeah.
So every week we start our show with this one question: how are you braving your way toward your creative goals? Christine and I do this because it keeps us accountable to make sure we have something to say in this segment every week. But we do it as a reminder every week. Just do one thing, do something every week to move your work forward. So Christina, what did you do this week to move your creative goals forward?
Thank you for asking. And speaking of accountability, I braved my way by working with Tony on my next script, Pool Party. We got together, we banged it out. I'm pretty new to Writer's Duet for all those screenwriters out there, and I was doing some wonky stuff with the formatting, and Tony got it all together, and it's beautiful. I think we banged out 1 or 2 pages, right? It's coming together, and Pool Party is tackling those issues, the things that Bravemaker loves, social justice issues, human trafficking, missing persons. Like, we're getting into it, and it's a horror movie, you guys. So it's my first horror movie, and I know Tony, actually our first movie we worked on together was a horror movie that you were doing, so this is very exciting. That's how I'm braving my way. What about you, Tony? How are you braving your way this week?
So trying to push forward Last Chance Charlene, the feature film that was released into the world a couple weeks ago, with getting some more film fests under our belt. So I applied to 11 now film festivals for 2022. And the Braving the Way part is easy to click. You got to pay $50, $60 for each one. But the Braving the Way part, I actually just reached out to some of the programmers, some who I knew because I've been alum. You know, I've screened my former short in that festival at some point. So I just kind of sent a personal message. It just reminded me this business is so much about relationships. And so as much as you can to relationally build connections with people. And sometimes it feels awkward. You know, I don't want to be like pandering, but I just sent some thoughts and ideas and also gratitude in an email to a few film festival programmers and just said, hey, I would love to be with you to share my film. So consider me. Kind of that little extra icing on the cake. So it goes a long way. Reach out to the people you're trying to make connections with. You have to ask for help. It's all a part of the industry.
Yeah, I love it. As an actor in that film, I'm very happy to hear you're braving your way by being brave enough to send those emails. I know it could feel like, oh, like so scary to do that. So thank you, Tony. That's exciting. Can't wait to get into some more festivals.
Yes.
I see that on the horizon. Yeah.
From LA to New York to Chicago to Austin, they're all applied. They're all out there. All right. Well, before we bring in our special guest from Austin, Texas, we have a really cool partner we're going to introduce today. Her name is Lori Burke. Welcome, Lori, to the Bravemaker Show.
Welcome,
Thank
Lori.
you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I love you guys. And Tony, I've known you for many years now. We've worked together. I don't even know what sets we were on together, but I've always admired everything that you're doing. Bravemaker is just wonderful. So, and Christina, it's nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having me.
I love that. It's wonderful to meet you.
Hey, yeah. So Lori is in LA. She is an actor. She's also a voiceover coach, teacher and voiceover talent. You probably have heard her voice in one or many commercials and spots over the past decade. So Lori, tell us about the boot camp you're running and how you're going to hopefully send some brave makers your way.
I will. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I actually have been doing this for over 20 years now. I'm the original voice of Google and founder of Virtual Voiceover, as well as actor, singer. Many people listening probably are also multi-creatives as myself. And I have been teaching and coaching for a long time just to get people to understand virtual voiceover, particularly now after the world is shut down. I've been having home studios my entire career, even when I was recording for Google. But now it seems like everybody has it, and it's a necessity. Not only that, but also teaching people how to use their voice creatively to get their message out, podcasters, actors, voiceover artists, and to really know the tools to any script and how to make a living at it, because that's what I've been lucky enough to do for many years. Who gets that? I don't know.
So cool.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So my boot camp is next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 1. So just on lunch hour if you want to do it or whatever. And it pretty much goes over everything, the tools, the tricks, the little secrets. I give out scripts, a roadmap, and a bunch of other stuff just to make sure that people have everything that they need. And you can go to virtualvoiceover.com and sign up. And I also wanted to offer a little bit of a discount to everybody that's listening on Brave Maker. So just put in Brave Maker and you'll get 10% off. And it's a lot of fun, you guys. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of creatives, and everybody leaves making new friends and working together, because that's what it's all about, and as a Bay Area girl, that's what it's about. So I hope you guys can come, and you guys too. I hope you guys can come too. So,
I was looking at it going,
sold. I'm sold. I'm in there.
Good. I hope so. All right.
Honestly, Christina and I have been working at this podcast for almost two years now. We got the good mics. We're trying to do our own work and push these things forward, and any little bit can help. We have a question from one of our viewers saying, do you offer one-to-one voiceover lessons?
Yes, I've kind of put them on hold a little bit while I'm doing this, because what happened was I had a lot of one-on-ones. And I realized it'd be a lot better and easier to do more than one person at a time. But also, I think that what the voiceover industry has been lacking, I've done thousands, by the way, like thousands, is that you're always alone. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be wonderful to bring everybody together? So it's a voiceover community. You could talk to each other, none of this like really, really competitive, because we all have such unique voices, but really to make it a community where we support each other. So you're welcome to write me. And, if it's something specific, sometimes I offer, different things for different people. But right now I'm just doing the boot camp. And then I'm going to have some other probably classes after that as well, with a small class, so I can dedicate time to people. But thank you.
Well, awesome. Neil, go to virtualvoiceover.com, sign up for this class, use the promo code BraveMaker for 10% off. And Lori, I reached out a couple weeks ago because I was like, I want to support and find other ways to reconnect. So I'm really happy that we could do that. And who knows what the future will look like, but let's keep finding ways to intersect our communities from the Bay to LA.
I love it.
All right.
Yeah. I love everything you're doing. And I'm sorry to the person who wrote in. I just want to say, because I didn't mean to be rude, you can write me at loriburke.com. Specifically. Awesome. Okay. So you can do that. But anyway, thank you guys for having me. And I wish you guys all the luck, and keep it going. Keep the positive vibes out. And I hope to see you guys next week.
You got it. Much love, Lori. Thank you. Check out virtualvoiceover.com, everybody. Thank you, Lori. We'll see you soon. All right. Well, I seriously want to take that class. I'm going to check my schedule and see if I can make it happen. Those of you who are wanting to get into voiceover, this is the time. Virtualvoiceover.com. Check it out. Thanks to Lori Burke. All right. And now let's bring in our special guest, Anna Westbrook. Anna from Austin, Texas.
Anna. Welcome to the show.
Go ahead and do a little introduction. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, so my name is Anna, and I'm currently in the George Washington Carver Museum, where we have a very fancy theater. I'm in a little classroom space. I'm in Austin, Texas, and my pronouns are she, her, and I am a white woman. I am wearing a purple t-shirt with a really cute logo of a train and a girl and a little baggage and a little mirror. And I am the creator and founder of a community called Isabel and the Runaway Train. And we believe that you have to curate your own sense of self-worth before you can help other people. And simultaneously, that other people can help you to cultivate that self-worth. So we are focused on teaching the average person to emotionally support a survivor of sexual maltreatment. And the way we do this is with a mixed medium of live theater and online education. And we're going to be on stage tomorrow in Austin at the George Washington Carver for 2 weekends and live streaming on April 30th.
Wow, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. We'd love to know how you ended up doing this work. So if we could back up a little bit, we'd love to know your origin story, Anna. Where were you born and raised? And how has your journey uniquely prepared you for the work you're doing today?
I love that. So I was born in New London, Connecticut, which is a little city, and it is directly in between New York and Boston. And when I was growing up, I had a great opportunity to learn about communication because both of my parents were professional communicators. My mom is a kindergarten teacher and my dad is a pastor. So the dinner table conversations at my house were people communicating about their day. And as communicators, their day was communication. So they were communicating about communicating. Every night I hid vegetables in my mashed potatoes. And so I started out in education, much like most people in my family, and decided right when it was time to switch from general education to the gen ed requirements of college into the actual major that I desperately didn't want to be a teacher, sobbing about it, so upset about being a teacher. And I know now that I didn't want to be a classroom teacher, but I love education. Yeah. And but at that point I just was like, what is wrong? What's happening? And when I think about that time, I think about a class I took on digital media literacy. Is that a term you're familiar with? Mm-hmm. I figured as filmmakers and such that you can be. So this term wasn't around as much in the public world this was 2009 when I learned the term. And one of the teacher who taught me this word in the class told me that whenever you change the medium of the content, you change the message. So when you, so we were talking about how a movie will never be as good as the book. And this teacher was advocating to, when a book becomes a movie, to kind of start over and reset your expectations because you have to change the message if you change the medium. And that stuck with me forever. And what it has done is I am a creative, multidisciplinary artist, but where I end up industry-wise is dependent on what message I want to tell. So I ended up in musical theater because I wanted to create art that led to social change. And the messages that I started wanting to spread, I felt needed a complex process. The best way to change your behavior is with an interdisciplinary experience, because when you use all your senses, intersensory experience, you transition content from short to long-term memory. So musical theater is incredibly intersensory. And that's what I love about it, is when you go to a play, you're physically in the space, you are seeing things, you are hearing things, and that helps you to translate any sort of social change from short to long-term memory. So that's kind of a professional spiel how I ended up here, and I'm happy to answer more questions about it.
Well, we're definitely we're big fans of music. Christina sings, and she is doing some live performing and musical theater type stuff, and I love all of the performing arts. I've never really thought about that idea. Obviously, I know there's different forms and different mediums, but that's a really powerful way to think about the emotional connection, right? The sensory work, you just never really think about that. But yeah, all of the creativity we do and the storytelling has different ways to connect. So that's really, I love it. That's really cool. So can you tell us a little bit about the Isabelle story and the musical, and it goes off tomorrow. Obviously, we're in the Bay Area. You're in Austin, Texas, and we're so grateful for our live producer, Amy Cohen, for connecting us to you. Brave Makers trying to grow this audience to be in a national space. Tell us about the show, what people are going to experience. I hope this is a link you could use for your Austin promotions as well. But you said people can also watch live online too. So tell us about that whole thing.
Absolutely. So Isabelle is a 16-year-old girl, and she runs away from home, and she finds herself trapped on a magical train full of people who can't stop running. So the rule of the world is pretty much an awful pun where if you run away from home, you immediately go onto this train. So it's a train full of runaways. It's the runaway train. And the play starts with her in this world and being shown around the world. And what she discovers is that nobody on the train knows their identity. They just each have a task-based role, like the porter who carries all the baggage is very proud of that. And she is the only one breaking the rule of the world. She is the only one who knows her name. So the cast then of characters, they then believe that she could stop the train. And we have to see how she's going to do that. And the show begins as a comedy. We like to say it's a comedy until it isn't. Because the train is an analogy for trauma. And we learn through being on this train ride what Isabelle has gone through in the past. We don't see any direct violence. We don't actually even hear any of the scary words that people expect to hear until Act 2, the middle of Act 2. So it's a 2-hour play, and you're not going to hear any of the violence-based words until like an hour and 40 minutes into it. It carefully preps you. And for audience members, what it's like is it starts out as a much cozier experience than you would think, because the analogy for trauma, the train's analogy for trauma resonates very well. So what we do is the minute you step into the theater, we actually pretend that you are on a train. So we have our ushers do play a character. They're called page turners, which is an obscure reference to the show that you may or may not catch, but we just do it anyway. And the page turners will ask you what role you're going to play, and then they will give you a passenger number via a name tag. And then they're going to let you sit in either boxcar 1, 2, 3, or 4. And throughout the train ride, you'll be able to text page turner number 1 if you would like a warning before the train crashes, because there will be lots of flashing lights before the train crashes, or if you would like to step out and talk to a licensed therapist. We collaborate with local nonprofits who send about therapists to volunteer to provide that extra bit of space.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's
really
amazing.
Yeah.
I've never heard of an immersive interactive experience where at the end, it seems like you could expect as a viewer experiencing this to heal. So tell me, what was the mission for your show for viewers? What experience, what did you want them to leave with after experiencing Isabelle the Runaway Train?
So we have 4 community action steps for our people. And the motivation of the action steps really keys back into that message and the why of when I make anything, there's an educational value to it. I did not want to be a classroom teacher, but I love helping people create social change. I love learning. I love explaining. So anytime I make something, there's a why and there's a how and there's follow-up steps that go with it. So our vision is that it is normal to know how to support a Me Too survivor. And we're not talking about crisis intervention. We're not talking about everybody knowing how to directly prevent or like get you to the hospital or get you out of situation. We're just talking about that awkward moment when the Me Too comes up and somebody in your life says, hey, that also happened to me. And then you're like at your happy hour. Like, what do we say? You know,
right.
That's what we're prepping for. And to create that normalcy, what we have to do is to inspire through an artistic project and then have direct action steps. But so the 4 Isabelle action steps are 1, to get Isabelle certified. And that is an online course that you can take on demand. And what it does is it takes you through the show. It shows you scenes from the show and connects it with psychological concepts that I wrote the show based on. So the show isn't just based on my lived experience or other people's lived experience. It is based on like specific recommendations from psychologists for healing. So we teach you those via footage of the show. And the second step is to become a member of Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. And if you aren't in Texas, there's lots of other orgs that you could join that have educational opportunities. And then the third step is to consider therapy. And like I said, we work with therapists. And the fourth step is to have candid conversations, because we believe that just talking with someone about the Train musical can even more support. So we had, the last time that we put this on, I had people calling me and saying, you know, my husband, who is a big emotional support, I hadn't told him my story of being abused. And he went to the show and he just kept expressing empathy for this one character. And he came back to it like 4 times, and he created such a safe space with that empathy that I had also had that past. And that's just so powerful. That's one of my favorite stories.
Wow.
And then, a survivor getting more support. And then I've had another woman. Our content actually does surprisingly well with men 45 to like 65. And I say surprising just because it's a 16-year-old girl. It's about abuse. It's set in a magical world, and but we do really well with like the dad vibes, the grandpa vibes, and when they sit there for 2 hours, they really get a chance to think about what they're learning. So I've had people also, somebody else emailed me and said, thank you so much. My husband has been like accidentally offending so many people whenever we do. And now he feels like he kind of gets it.
Yeah.
This is such really incredible work, you know, because the statistics are so high for people who have had these negative experiences, and then we don't really know how to interact with each other. You know, there is that awkward silence. If someone is brave enough to bring it up, we kind of, you know, we're looking around, sipping our drinks. We don't know what to say. And you are providing the tools and the space and the language to have this conversation. This seems like such a genius idea. I'm curious, Anna, what would you consider to be your superpower?
I would say that my superpower is my empathy. And part of the reason I didn't go into therapy directly or something else that would be a high empathy value is because the way that I interact with my empathy is so intense. So musical theater is awesome because I can just think about these imaginary people so deeply and spend years figuring out, like, if this imaginary person said A, how would this imaginary person feel? And then how would the other imaginary person feel? So that it gives me this beautiful space to take any real feelings that I have and have some control over them, and also be very intentional about what purpose I want them to have. And helping, that empathy shows up in the playwriting process, and then it also shows up in the production end and in the creation of the music. So my degree, that when I did go back to school, I got a degree in music with a specialization in composition. And I like to kind of think about the analogy of being a producer is very different to being very, very similar to being a composer. Because when I'm a composer, I have to know things about when we're in score, you know, we're looking at score order, and like a clarinet is going to break on a D. So like that icky, like sound that you can expect from a clarinet, you got to know where that can happen. And yes, the best clarinetist can avoid it, but don't give a huge, long, extended note to a clarinetist with D. A flute is so much quieter than a trumpet. If you have a trumpet, and don't put them at forte if a flute's supposed to be the same as them. You have to put them at mezzo piano, and the flute's at forte, and things like that. So now that also happens when I'm leading my team. So right now we've got 25 contractors, and then we have 25 collaborators. So there's 50 people who
that's great.
Looking to me. I'm excited to get to the point where that's our normal. It's always a temporary during production thing right now, but each of them have different skills, and helping them to communicate with each other feels so much like writing the music. And I kind of look at myself in the same role both ways. And I think that is all empathy driven. So that would be my superpower.
I dig it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the work you're doing is definitely aligned with the values of Bravemaker. This is something that, you know, for our heart is how can we use creativity to get people to have discussions and move them forward in their healing journey in some way. I'm curious about your personal creative journey in regards to Isabel and the Runaway Train. You did, the book, the lyrics, you compose you did all this stuff, and you have these 50 other people you're working with, which I love. How do you sustain yourself as a creative artist? Is this something that you do on top of a million other jobs? Tell us about that, because we have a lot of people who listen and watch, like myself, who are piecing things together. And I'd love to know how you are finding sustainability as a creative, financially as well.
Absolutely. So business plan wise, for the production and for myself, long-term, combining the in-person experience with online learning is the key to making sure that we can create not only financing for our artists, but passive income for our artists. So when we produced the show in its debut in 2018, we did decide to put on, that I should put on my educator hat and see what kind of course I could make. It was an in-person course until the pandemic hit. And then I had the challenge of trying out online education, which I was very against. It's not naturally what I want to do, but I found a way to thrive in it. So then we were able to switch from Zoom to the on-demand course. So having that course out there is a way that we can make sure that we have passive income. We launched it a couple months ago while also doing production. So it's income generating. We're not sustainable with that online course, but there's no reason to believe that we won't, because especially once the production's over, we can put all of our effort into marketing that wonderful experience. So with that in mind, the big production costs a lot of money. And we did decide to focus our income on, in addition to ticket sales, on private sponsorships. So we've been able to do collaborations with, one of them is an insurance company. So we have Sana Health Benefits as a national insurance org, and they actually pay for mental health, which we really like. So we've put on little micro events for them that are associated with our brand and collaborated with them. And then there's other local businesses that we're featuring. So that's like the current finances where we're at. When it comes to me as a person, I just in a day-to-day experience, I don't take money from the business yet, because I have alternative ways to make my income. And that is through running a private music studio. So I teach 20 students in Austin, and I am completely in charge of my schedule. And I don't have to deal with any sort of office politics or other job politics, which is really nice. And I'm able to work about 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week with that, and then put the rest into building the business. And gradually, as we get more and more of that passive income, I'll be able to scale back my teaching. And as I said, I really do like teaching. I just didn't like the classroom. So I'm having a blast. And with how intense the Isabelle content, it's kind of nice to be like in the morning and early afternoon. I'm very much like, how can we talk about trauma and change the world? And then I get to hang out with a 9-year-old and be like, let's learn a new chord.
This is so incredible. So let's talk about empathy. You said that's your superpower, and that seems how you are best serving your community. So how can someone like Tony or I really focus our energy on improving our own empathy towards each other in order to, move along things as far as normalizing these conversations?
So I love that question. And I feel like the most important thing whenever you're creating behavior change is to build off what is already going well. So if we just start making lists of what we shouldn't do, that's not as creative as a learning process of being like, what do we like? So I love the question you have at the start of your process where you ask each other, how are you braving today? That was a question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are we braving? So you're opening up with that question, you're inviting, it's a specific question, but it's based on an outcome, and it has a lot of room for space. And with a question like that, you can bring a success, or you can bring a failure, you can bring a joyful thing, you can bring a fear, right? So having that check-in and also being transparent and having that check-in be something you do publicly is a great way to just demonstrate empathy. And I'd say building off of that, we want to scale back from what we do publicly to what do we do in our private conversations, to what do we do when we're by ourselves. So this past week of the show, so much of my job has been just making sure other people are on track for their jobs. And I was in the car with one of my team members, and I said, like, right now it's my job to take care of everyone. And she did a check-in with me and said, is it really your job to take care of everyone? And I said, right now, yes, just for this brief amount of time. Yes, as CEO, Chief Executive Officer, you're helping everyone execute. So forever, no, but right now, yes, it's my job to help them do their jobs. But I made sure to be checking in with myself along the way. And today we're one show away. And while Isabelle is not me, and the show is not full-on autobiographical, I'm still doing something very highly emotionally charged by putting on a show that I wrote over years. So I told my team I'm going to be offline tomorrow, which is today, until 3 p.m. And I'm just going to be sitting and like journaling and thinking about what it means to me to go back on stage. And then I'll be available from 3 to 6. And then we're going to do the final dress rehearsal, and we'll have a show tomorrow. So setting that example for them also helps them to know that it's okay to do that. Because I can tell them, take your time, set your boundaries. But if I do it and communicate it, then they know that they do it.
That's beautiful. What are some things that you do to take care of yourself as you take care of this huge team?
I think that being mindful of just how my body feels is really important. So recognizing if I stop breathing as deeply as it is helpful to breathe. I've had to be scheduling when I eat, because with the excitement of the show, which is the stress of the show, and excited and stressed can feel the same sometimes. With that, I've been not getting hungry. Like, I'm just getting dizzy. So I have to schedule eating, and that's not how it's always going to be. This is just a very intense time. So scheduling that and having a ton of food ready, and communicating about that and having people remind me and ask if I've eaten is just a great basic way to take care of myself. I have dogs. And I just love hanging out with them at the end of the day. And I'm so excited to be here in the theater, but I can't wait to not be pulling this many hours because I can just hang out with my dogs all the time. I love walking my dogs. And a new thing this past couple months, a new thing that I do consider self-care is trash TV. I don't think that watching Love is Blind and things like that can be considered self-care, perhaps. You know, if I'm basing my life on it, not. But there's just like having that on in the background while I'm doing paperwork has been wonderful. And just having something kind of meaningless. Obviously, these people are getting married. It's very meaningful for them, but it's not meaningful to me. And there's something really nice about it. So TV can totally be a part of
Give it up for TV. Give it up for trash TV. Nice.
Absolutely.
It's breaking a little bit. So I'm having, I don't know if there's not a little bit of but as the conversation, Anna, can you tell people to get tickets and all that kind of? Sorry, I'm hearing feedback. Sorry. Let me just. Sorry, everybody. I'm gonna mute everybody and see if this helps. Check 1, check 2. Okay. As we finish up our conversation, can you tell everybody where to go for tickets and live streaming? And then you said you might be able to show us a quick little tour. We can end that way before we do our brave faves for the show.
Absolutely. If you are in Austin, then we suggest that you go to our website, which is isabelleandtherunawaytrain.org. And at the top of the website, there is a link to our Eventbrite page. You can also go to our Instagram at Isabelle and the Runaway Train and find a link in our bio. The link for the live stream is a separate link, but it is also posted in those places. And if you have trouble finding it, you can message us, and me or our online coordinator, Micaela Garcia, will get back to you. Actually, it will be me. She is also the star of our show. And we'll be happy to share that information. You can find me on Instagram at ANNA WESTBROOK ATX. And if you're interested in having another conversation with me, I have a public speaking website, ANNAWESTBROOK.com.
Fantastic. All of these links will be in the comments below if you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook. Please follow up with Anna if you're in Austin. And we do have some people in Austin, which is so great. Go see the show. Go support Jessica Cohen, actor, who was one of our students in our screenwriting classes that we bragged about being in a Richard Linklater film, Apollo 10.5. So cool to make this connection with you, Anna. Before we do our Brave Faves, do you want to show a little bit of the studio? Are you going to pull off your phone, or how can you do that? Oh, and look at I just got a little thing here. You're going to give some discounted tickets. Should we post that as well? Great.
Go for it.
You can use Arts EDU for discounted tickets. So use that as a promo code. It's all about promo codes today. Lori gave us some promos for the virtual voiceover. And now thank you, Anna, for sharing this. I'm going to put this in the chat so people can use that for a code of discount tickets. There you go.
Yeah, and that's good. That's a subsidize. We have a private donor subsidizing tickets for artists, teachers, and students. And I really want you to consider an artist even if you're not working full time. Okay, please. And we still get the full ticket money. It's a private donor who's anonymous and he has Amazon stock, so it's totally fine, guys. Just take the discount and take it. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just walk down the hall here so you can see this is a gorgeous space in Austin. We're going to be treating you like you're on a train the entire time. Lots of natural light. We have a matinee on April 30th. So that's really cool. And it'll be the prettiest then, probably in the night shows. So I'm walking into the Boyd Vance Theater, and I'll turn around and let you see. And there's going to be people rummaging around doing things. I've warned them that cameras may show up suddenly. So this is a theater. Isn't it pretty?
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah, we've got people over here recording. Guys, you're on a podcast. Wow. Oh, there's Jessica Cohen. Hi.
Jessica, hi.
Hey, exciting. So cool.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm ready for some Brave Faves.
Let's do it. Okay, everybody. It's that time of the show.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
Okay, before I announce my Brave Fave, I want to make a public commitment to become Isabelle certified, and I hope that you join me. And I am so excited to take your course, Anna. Thank you so much for introducing this to me. And with that, my Brave Fave is some blues music. So, at just 22, electrifying Mississippi guitar and vocal sensation Christone Kingfish Ingram may very well be the next blues superstar. The 2020 Grammy nominee is also the first young blues artist in memory who has Asperger's syndrome, and a mild form of autism. And his recently deceased mother credits her son's conditioning for giving him added creativity, depth, and sensitivity. And Jam Into 662 by Kingfish. It's amazing music. If you like blues music, it's beautiful. That's my Brave Fave. What about you, Tony?
That's cool. Well, I am really excited because I finally binged season 1 of Russian Doll just in time for season 2 to come out with Natasha Lyonne. Y'all, it's 8 episodes, like 20, 25-minute long. This is so good.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, if you like time travel, if you like Groundhog's Day, Palm Spring vibes, this was such a fun show. I'm so glad I watched it. I can't wait to see what they do with season 2. I loved the characters. I loved there's a lot of empathy in here too for these two characters who've both gone through some really different things and how their lives intersect. So Russian Doll season 2, check it out. But you obviously got to watch season 1 first. And I loved season 1. It was great.
Yeah.
All right, Anna, what's your Brave Fave? What you got?
Okay, so lately I've really been enjoying scheduling hacks. So I'll just mention 2 things. They're not new things, but I think they're worth celebrating. In case you don't know, so you can schedule your email on Gmail, just at the bottom. And a lot of people don't know that. So telling my team that is helpful with mental health. Because like my stage manager takes 2 days off a week, and she was very stressed that she can't, she has to send emails in that. And I was like, no, gotcha, you can pre-schedule those. And the other one, so Calendly, I know that everybody knows Calendly, but I just want to share that I don't pay for that. I use the free version. And the reason not to use the free version is you can only set one amount of time. I set 45 minutes, and then I put in a questionnaire at the end. It says, were you secretly hoping for a different time? And they can say 20 minutes or an hour. And then I can just change it on the back end. So.
Yes, I like those kind of hacks. That's fun. Right on. Cool. Well, I'll stand by, Anna. We'll take a picture with you. But everybody, thank you so much for watching live or on the replay, whatever that you were doing. You know that we are so grateful for all of your comments and supports and question in the ways that you are also supporting Brave Maker, because Brave Maker is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. You know, almost every month I go, are we going to be able to make it next month? And we do somehow, because people are gracious and generous. Just today, one of the other braving things I had to do is call some people for some donations because as we get close to the film festival, we just need your support. So if you could consider making a donation at bravemaker.com/donate, or you could use your phone, just text the word Brave Maker, pull up your text, put 44321, then text the word Brave Maker, push send. You'll get a secure link right in your phone text, and you can give right that way too. If you're not on our mailing list, go to bravemaker.com/buzz, and you can get on our email list, and we send out things like Isabel The Runaway Train or other free film screenings or our workshops that we're doing. Don't miss that stuff. And finally, you can always support us by shopping through smile.amazon.com and choosing Brave Maker as your supported charity.
Hey, Tony, I was out of town. I needed some things, and I got it. And I used Smile and made a donation to Brave Maker, so that's very exciting. And we have an amazing team to thank, some of them right out there in Austin, Texas. So thank you to our producer, Amy Cohen. Thank you, Carrie Alley, our social media manager, Barnell Amos, our podcast editor out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, Emerson Morley out of San Francisco, our Brave Maker intern, and of course, out of Chicago, film student Sarah Agolia. We're so excited for you to join us this summer at our film festival, and come back next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we will have another amazing show.
I think next week is just going to be me and Christina chatting about our Patreon. We're still trying to build our Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/bravemaker and hear about how we're going to be doing extra content every week when we get some subscribers, as well as doing a monthly Zoom where we'll hack it out and talk about how you can move your projects forward. Well, hey, thanks again to Anna Westbrook for joining us. Don't forget to follow her on her socials, and go check out Isabelle and The Runaway Train. All the links are in the chat below. And don't forget, you can also sign up for the class by Lori Burke using 10% promo code Bravemaker at virtualvoiceover.com. All right, Anna, thank you so much for joining us. Super cool for you to be with us. Hang around at the end of the show, because we would love to get a picture with you. We always end the show by saying brave stories change the world.
And you are the story. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word Bravemaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.